guys, so today we're going to be doing an abstract value drawing with colored pencil. So just a reminder, this should be review, but value is the lightness or darkness of a color. So for example, this is all different values of orange. So the light orange in the center with the darker orange on the side. This is not what we're creating today. This was just another project I had done. So it is up to you how you want to do your abstract design. It can be more organic, kind of like scribbly lines, or you can use a ruler to create your sections. But what we're going to be doing is creating value with colored pencil. There's a couple different ways you can create value. In the classroom, we've done tints and hues, which is adding white or black to a color to make it either lighter or darker, which is one way of achieving value. But since we're using colored pencils today, we're going to be working on our pencil pressure and layering to create that value. So I'm going to do a clean lines for mine. Like I said, if you want to do kind of organic scribbles for your design, that's fine. But I'm just going to use a Sharpie pen here. And this Sharpie pen is dying, so I'm going to get a different one. This one's not Sharpie, but it's a dark pen. And just create some nice little abstract lines, and I'm going to cover the whole paper, creating different sections. The more sections that you have, the more sections you'll have to color, so kind of keep that in mind. It might be easier to have more smaller sections than these big ones. It would take forever to color that entire section one color. So I'm going to try to break my sections into some smaller chunks here. Alright, so now that I'm satisfied with my design, I'm going to go ahead and pick one colored pencil. This is the only pencil you're going to use, so pick a color that you really like. My favorite color is turquoise. I've got a few different turquoise colored pencils. I'm just going to test out which one I want on the back. Some of them are more green and some of them are more blue. I think I like this one. Okay. And you will probably need a pencil sharpener because you're going to be using it for the whole paper, so it will take you a while. So, I want you to try to get as many values as you can. You have to have at least 3, a light, a medium, and a dark. But if you can get more values, because you can apply really good pressure to your pencil, that's amazing. So I'm going to start with my lightest values first. So I'm just going to pick a few random ones, and what's easiest for me when I'm trying to create light values is having my pencil on its side. If it's up and down, you're going to tend to press harder and it's going to be darker right away. If you put it on its side and hold it like this, you can apply lighter pressure and make a really, really nice light value. Alright, so now that I've got this light value, I'm going to add a couple more sections with that value. I probably could have even gone lighter than that, so I'm going to try to even go lighter than that in a few of them because I could probably use this as like a medium if I needed to. Alright. So now that I have a few sections done, I'm going to work on making my next sections a little bit darker. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can press slightly harder with your pencil, or you can do 2 layers. So whichever seems to work best for you. So for example, if I want to make this one a little bit darker by pressing a little bit harder, I'm going to kind of make like these tiny little circles. So that will make it a little bit darker. Or if I want to do the same lightness as this one and kind of color it the same way, and then do another layer on top of it, Okay, both of those came out about the same value, and you can see because I put this one right next to it, it is darker than this one. So you just kind of have to decide what technique is going to work best for you, either layering or applying the pressure, and make another set of values that are about this darkness. Alright, I'm going to go a little bit darker for this layer. So here I have 3 values. I'm going to do one more value that's going to be a little bit darker, so I am going to press a little bit harder and kind of keep my pencil upright for this one. I still am going to go ahead and make those little circles because I find it easier to fill it in than going back and forth in lines, and it seems to make it a little bit smoother. So for your darkest value, you shouldn't really see any white coming through on the paper. It should be pretty thick. And I think it's easier to do the darkest values in some of these really tiny places because you can use the tip of your pencil a little bit more for those ones. So now that I've got some of my level 4 values on my paper, this is where it gets a little bit trickier because my paper is starting to get full. So me personally, I don't like it when 2 of the same values are touching unless they're touching just by like that little tiny tip right there. Like I wouldn't want to put another either light, like a number 1 light or a number 2 right here because these edges are going to match up and kind of go together. So I would probably try to do one that's a little bit darker than both of those here, but not this dark. So that's kind of like a little challenge you can give yourself, is not to have 2 of the same values touching. So kind of play around. Sometimes you might need an eraser, like if you've put 2 together that are just, you know, so close, like these 2 are pretty close. I could take my eraser to this one and make it a little bit lighter by erasing rather than by trying to change the value around it. So go ahead and fill in the rest of your spaces, and then we'll move on to the next part. Alright, so I have filled the whole paper, so now I'm just going to go back over my lines again with the Sharpie. I decided that these thin lines, I didn't care for them too much, so I'm just going to use a regular fine point Sharpie to trace over them again.